Good morning. Thank you. You guys come take a seat. We have lots of seats up front. Closer the better. Good to see a lot of familiar faces. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving? This is my stall technique. Everybody get your last call for coffee, right? All right, let me give you a quick overview of what 1 Million Cups is for those of you that are unfamiliar. And guys, we'll have lots of chat time afterwards. For those of you that are true entrepreneurs in the room. All right, 1 Million Cups, we meet here every week. We have two companies that'll get up and present, and then we'll have some question and answer. That time is then back on you, so it depends on sort of your attention span and your focus. We keep the presentations short and sweet. I will cut them off at 6 minutes, whether they're done or not. I may try to surprise them or something today. And then from there, it's about question. And we want to spur on growth and accelerate that in our entrepreneurs. So you can ask sort of any basic question, but the goal is that coming from the heart of, can we help them do better, be more successful long term? All right, without further ado, today we have a great lineup. We have a company called Explainify. They are actually from Northwest Arkansas, and the cool thing about 1 Million Cups is we're now tied into, I heard a one whoop. We're now tied into 19 other cities across the USA, and you may or may not know this, when you speak at 1 Million Cups, you now have access to the rest of the 1 Million Cups network. So it gives the community organizers here in Tulsa, we can help you get to another city, meet new people, even get into another market. And so part of that is, every once in a while, we want to introduce you to really cool rock star entrepreneurs that are from other cities, just to come in and see what they're up to, and they can also see what we're up to. So Explainify, they're from Bentonville, they now live in Fayetteville. They started, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. Eric and Krista, husband and wife duo. Eric built the video department at Rockfish Interactive, or Creative, and they went on to sell for, $250 million or something. He built their whole video department. I don't know how much money you got out of that deal. Not very much, right? And then from there, he started Explainify, and 9 months after starting Explainify, this is pretty cool, his company was voted top 10 explainer company in the world. So he's a pretty legit entrepreneur, and his wife's awesome. So give it up for Eric and Krista Hinson with Explainify.
Thank you, Tim. So a few years ago, a small virtual storage company hit a stall point where they were no longer acquiring customers. They had a really hard time converting people on their homepage. I mean, nobody wanted the product, nobody understood what it was when they got there. And the cost of acquiring customers was actually higher than the product itself, than the product was bringing in, etc. So they knew there was a problem, and they released a short video that condensed their massive engineer-minded business pitch into a short, remarkable video that was about 2 minutes in length that really explained what it was that they did, and people finally understood what it was that they did. And they saw results, which resulted in huge amounts of funding and 10 million customers almost immediately. So huge amounts of funding, 10 million customers at that point. Later on, fast forward to 2013, where they're now at where Steve Jobs actually wanted to buy the company, and in 2013 they have about 100 million customers now and an $8 billion valuation. So that's pretty great. So that company is actually Dropbox, something that most of us use on a day-to-day basis. So most companies have a great story to tell, and like Dropbox, that's the case. It's one thing to have a great story, but it's an entirely different thing to communicate that story and that vision to prospects, investors, and customers. And that's why we created Explainify. We're a small video studio specializing in remarkable animated videos that help turn prospects into customers by getting them to understand what it is that we do. I can go on and tell you a lot about it, but I'll just rather show you this awesome video that we produced that explains it for us.
Sum up what your business does in 90 seconds or less. It's not that easy, right? Many businesses cannot quickly and easily explain what they do because their deep knowledge of their company includes too many details. It's called the curse of knowledge. At Explainify, we capture the essence of what you do and explainify it quickly and clearly with remarkable custom videos just like these. They boost search engine results, make conversions, and increase sales. Here's how we do it. First, we ask about all the amazing stuff your company does. You talk, we listen. And with our fresh perspective, we help prioritize what needs to be said. And you say, that's it. That's what we do. Using this essential information, we work with you on a 60 to 90 second script that tells your story. We create custom visuals to match your brand perfectly, from corporate to characters, whatever you need. Then we combine the script with the visuals and mix them with a professional voiceover and music. There it is, a beautiful video that really sets you apart. Potential clients watch your video, get what you do, and see you as the problem solver, the innovator, the only choice in your industry. So, if you're ready to boost sales, conversion rates, and your ranking on search engines, visit Explainify.com now.
So now you understand a little bit of what we do. I want to give you just a quick background on how we got started in this. So I was working for Rockfish Interactive, like Tim was talking about. It's a good-sized creative advertising agency that was growing very quickly from startup stage. Was involved in building the video production unit there. We were telling all kinds of stories with the team, several video producers, telling all kinds of stories for brands and companies like Walmart and Sam's Club, Procter & Gamble. We even did a video campaign for a toilet paper company and went viral, and it was incredible. But some of the videos, we were seeing trends in the data at the end of the day, and they were showing that people just weren't as engaged as they could be in some of the videos, and there were some reasons because of that. Some of them lacked good storytelling, and they lacked good structure. Another thing was they had a really hard time capturing short attention spans. We all have short attention spans these days, myself included. And so if we're not able to capture that, they're not getting the right message, they're not getting to the call to action, which is a really important part. And then there ends up being a problem at that point because you're not getting the thing, and people aren't understanding what you do. So pass it on to Krista to tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, so some things that work for us at Explainify is, of course, telling great stories. What that means, first of all, biggest thing is cut the jargon. All the buzzwords that we really like to use because we have big degrees and we know a lot of cool things. You got to cut that out and just get it to where people really understand your story. That's the most important thing. So we've all been on web pages where you read tons of text and you still have no clue what people are doing. So cut that out. Also embrace the storytelling that's in your DNA. Like we grow up with stories and telling stories, and so it's way more natural to tell stories than I think we even realize. So ditch the norm also. Tell a story, don't tell your profession. You'll get results. So part of that is capturing people's attention. So you've got to really make a connection in the very beginning. So that could be like explaining a problem that someone's facing or how you can provide a solution. It's also can mean, like for us, we say what we're selling is explanation videos, but what people are buying is a solution to this problem of explaining what they do. So focus on that, what the solution is. And then don't bore people, of course. We've all sat through 30-minute conversations with your grandpa about stamp collecting. We don't like that. So try to stay away from that and make it memorable. Just think of things that really connect to people, like being funny or being serious or being emotional or just playing on different things like that and make it memorable. And ultimately, you'll get results. So for us, when we have a video up there, people start to notice. They actually stay on a web page 2 minutes longer after there's a video that they can watch. Also, they're more likely to buy. So 85% of people will actually buy a product if they can see an explanation video or a product demo. So everybody wins. For us, one of our favorite stories was collective bias. Oh, and
Okay, time's up.
Oh, okay.
Time's up.
You can't hear about collective bias unless you guys
We're gonna open up for question and answer. We've got a new mic today, so just look for Katie back here. She'll have the mic and the question.
So, is it affordable? Because as a marketer, I'm often telling people that animated videos can be very cost efficient, but then you have to sacrifice some of the quality issues. You guys do some great stuff. I'm wondering, is it affordable?
Well, there's all kinds of different explainer video companies. There's hundreds of them out there, and there are from the very low end to the very high end. We're kind of in that range where we're looking to work with businesses that have a little bit of funding. They're maybe looking to seek their Series B round, that kind of thing, their second round funding. They range from $1,000 up to $30,000, $300,000, depending on where you want to go, if you want to go agency style. But typically, it's around $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 for a a video like that.
Do you guys work with companies in terms of their social media strategy, or do you just put the video out and expect their marketing team to do it?
Yeah, mainly what we do is make videos, and that's what we love to do. When we get a video out, we send them with a document that kind of helps them, tell them where to put the video, tell them how to get uses for it, tell them how to get views. And we also have some platforms like Wistia that we use that'll help track analytics, help bring customers right from wherever they're watching it back to their homepage website, or it captures like call to actions and like getting email and stuff like that. But yeah, we try to help people as much as we can. But ultimately, that's kind of up to their social team, or if they want to pay for seating, pay for views and stuff.
You guys require people to come to you to go through your whole creative process, or can they bring a script and frame it all out? And so somebody maybe on a little bit tighter budget can bring everything packaged, even if you don't think it's very good. Just don't make a video for that guy at a cheaper price, but kind of got all that process taken care of.
Yeah, well, we really like to work with companies that we think are going to be a good partner for us and that we're a good fit. So we really test the waters and try to create a relationship first and see if that's going to work. We're not a group of freelancers. We're not a freelance person or team. So we really try to be a big part of that, come in from the beginning and help shape the whole story and do that. We do have a few clients and a few people that come to us with saying they tried somebody else and it fell apart, and so they need us to kind of salvage it, and we like to help at that point. And there are sometimes people want to come and they want to, it depends on their ebbs and flows in any kind of business. So if we have the availability, we'll take it on if it's a good fit for us.
So from the point of customer acquisition, how long does it take to put out a complete video? And how do you handle the workload if you're jammed?
Yeah, well, usually it takes about 5 to 6 weeks, just from start to finish. It's a long process, as you saw kind of through our whole process in our video, from all the ideas, all the creation, the script writing, all the revision process, illustrating, animating, sound design. It just takes a long time. So usually 5 to 6 weeks. If we're on a really busy schedule, we might have to delay start a week or two, depending on what it's like. If you want to pay some rush fees, we can get it done in about 3 or 4 sometimes, but usually 5 to 6.
But I was going to ask, so is that a scalable model then? Because you sound like you're pretty busy. You have a big team. What's the size of your organization?
Yeah, so we started out just Eric and I just doing everything. And over the past year, we've brought in about 8 different people that help us with all different aspects of our business. And it's kind of been a fun, just kind of easy, slow process of us building and growing, which we definitely want to do. If you're not growing, you're dying. So it's kind of scalable. You just keep adding on people. We want some real full-time people to come on soon. Business development, project management, stuff like that. And some more full-time illustrators, animators, sound designers. So yeah, we'll just keep going up.
Do you work more with agencies or directly with clients?
Yeah, we typically work more with directly with clients. We are looking, as part of our ask at the end of this, is we are looking for relationships with agency partners. Because I have an agency background, I understand how that works, understand the headaches and all that. So definitely looking for those kind of partners. And a formal introduction to somebody would be awesome.
I have a question. Can you talk us through just a little bit, how do you go from being a part of a massive company that gets acquired, you're sort of out on the street corner, how do you go from that to being named top explainer company, top 10 in the world in 9 months? I mean, how do you sort of start getting customers even?
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to good mentors and good business counsel, doing wise things. When I left Rockfish, we didn't really know what we were going to do. It just kind of had to leave. It was getting acquired and just kind of time to start something different. And we didn't really have a plan. So it was interesting, but it just kind of came to us to do this. It seemed like a good idea. There was just a couple people doing it at the time. So the biggest thing that we did was we reached out to influencers. Rand Fishkin of SEO Moz, and people like that. Tony Shea of Zappos, they saw the videos, they loved it, they tweeted it, they posted on Quora, and that just blew up the traffic. That was the biggest thing, was finding the right influencers that like this kind of stuff, and blew it up. One of our competitors actually did a video for free for a company, and Ashton Kutcher tweeted it, and he has a back stock of 100 or something videos now, so he's full for 2 years. So just because of Ashton Kutcher tweeting. So if we can find the right people, SEO Moz sent, I'd say 100 leads in one day because of that, so that kind of stuff is huge. And we do good work. I think it speaks for itself at that point. People talk about it, it speaks for itself. Writing blog posts and that kind of thing as well. Any kind of inbound marketing that we do is pretty powerful.
What software do you guys use for creating your animations, videos?
So we do most of our illustration in Adobe Illustrator, or Adobe Photoshop, obviously. And then the animation takes place in Adobe After Effects. And Cinema 4D if we do any 3D, something like that.
Hey, Eric and Krista. So what can we use the 1 Million Cups community? I know that we're in Tulsa and y'all are in Little Rock, or not Little Rock, Fayetteville, sorry. How can we help you scale? I know you started to touch on that, but.
Yeah, we're looking for meaningful relationships and introductions to agency partners, also to nonprofits, people that are high up in the chain that can get us somewhere. And any introduction to a cool business. We want to tell good stories across the world. So anywhere in the world we're working with one in Australia, we've worked in England, London. And so, anywhere, if you know a good company that, needs a video, introduce us. We'd love that.
Do you have any price reduction for nonprofits?
Yeah, it depends on the story. It depends on the company and the relationship that we have. But I think that could be a possibility.
We have a few nonprofits that we work with right now, and so we like to tell good stories and make relationships. So if it's beneficial for both of us, and if we can help, then we'd like to.
So, with your business being all online, how do you build relationships with businesses being online?
If you want to repeat that question, Krista.
Oh yeah, how do we build businesses when we're online? I think a lot of it goes just back and forth through just communicating, just getting on the phone and talking to someone, just being real, being down to earth. Back to cutting the jargon crap. When people talk on a phone to someone, they just want to hear a person. And so that's kind of where we start at, is just being real, just telling them, we want to tell your story, we want to dig into what you do. People love that, because you love to talk about what you do and what you're passionate about. So we start with that, let us know about what you're doing, let us know how we can help you. And it just kind of progresses from there. So a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, just supporting them on their social media and stuff. And you just see over time that you just create those relationships and it's meaningful.
Is there at all that videos will become like our generation walk out? Before on web pages you would see a guy walk out and start talking to you, so you got a front page. And if you are, what are you doing to prolong that or work around that?
Well, we know that the actual animated explainer thing is kind of a niche that has a shelf life. At some point, people are going to want to move on to the newest thing. We're kind of adapting to do some live action stuff also, so bringing that in kind of as a pair with graphic animation, kind of just moving that way. But also, we're always going to want to tell stories. Everybody's got a story, so it's got to be explained, whether it's in video or in another fashion. So we see it evolving, and we'll just roll with it.
So, sounds like a lot of what you guys do is really helping companies kind of boil down the message to something. Have you ever had a time that it was really hard to get a client to focus, boil stuff down, and is there basically, you go through the process each time to help somebody?
Yeah, he's asking, do we have problems with clients that, exactly, yes we do. We've had a few clients that are just difficult. You have so much in your mind that you want to tell. It's really hard to say everything in 90 seconds. But it's just kind of like, hey, we've done this before and we've seen results, and you either listen to us or your video is going to pay for it. And a lot of times people will listen to us every once in a while. We get some hard-headed people and then we just grit our teeth and try to get through it. But we try to avoid those kind of relationships in the beginning if we can. So most generally, we go through a brief, we ask a lot of questions, we get on the phone and just like talk for an hour about the company. We dig into all of their stuff, their resources online, and then usually after a few revisions, we can get a script that people are really happy with.
Okay, so I got one more question. You guys have some startups coming to you, talking to you, whatever round they're in. Do you guys ever think, man, that's a cool startup, I'd like to be a part of that, and they need a lot of explaining done? So you ever like consider taking small stakes in companies? I'd like to make you an offer. Do you ever get involved with the company more than just doing the video and having to pay you? Have you taken on any equity in companies at all?
Yeah, we've taken equity in one company, and we're interested in that. A lot of people, do approach us and maybe don't have a good business idea, or they don't really have a good business sense about it, and so we just decline those deals because it doesn't make sense for us, because it's a big investment. I mean, we're taking 6 weeks of our time that we could be making money on other projects, and so it depends on the project. I mean, for you, yes. Let's talk about it.
What is the time frame from introduction to a company to the video delivery?
Yeah, it typically takes about 5 to 6 weeks. And most of that depends really on the client feedback time. Just based on how busy we are, we've kind of, it really could take about 4 weeks, but we try to push it to 5 to 6 weeks, depending on, that way to give client feedback time if you need multiple revisions of script or multiple revisions of storyboard, that kind of thing. We try to allow time for that.
People drive their feet, it takes like 2 months.
And we have processes in place, and we've learned a lot to make those processes happen, so that doesn't happen anymore.
Okay, a question. So some of your bigger packages, bigger projects that you sell, what added value do you give to that? Like you track the analytics, track the conversion rates, that kind of stuff?
Well, mostly with the different packages, it's kind of the detail and the animation, the illustration styles. So if you have a really big brand that has this image to convey, you need all of your graphics and animation and stuff to match that. So that could mean 3D modeling, it could mean like a really talented, expensive voiceover, it could mean really intricate design or animation that just takes a lot of time. So that's usually where the money goes, is into just the time that it takes to create really detailed stuff. We do have some things, like I said earlier, Eric will talk a little bit more about Wistia, or if you have some questions, we can talk afterwards. But it's a hosting platform that helps track analytics, that you can see where people are watching, where they fall off, what they're getting out of the video, and then we offer redoing that video so that it boosts conversion rates.
Do you have any desires going outside of business to make any like short films or like entertainment films?
Yeah, so I think short films is going to be the longest, because I just really don't have a long attention span. 5 to 6 weeks on a project is a long time. I've never been interested in doing feature films, but I have done a few short films. I've had a couple go viral, a couple do really well, and we did some international film festivals and things. But those are just kind of side projects. We don't really want to focus on those as far as making a profit.
When you were starting up, is there 1 or 2 things that you wish someone had told you back then that you know now?
I think in the beginning it was really hard for us to convey or to believe in our value. And a lot of times when you're doing a startup as a company, you think, are people going to pay for this product? Are people going to believe in us? And we kind of step back and see, we've worked really hard at learning what we do, at learning all the skills that we have, at putting this together, and that we do offer something that's really valuable. So I think that's the biggest thing, is like just realizing that we are worth what we ask for, and that our product speaks for itself. So that's the biggest thing, is just being confident in yourself and your abilities. Thank you guys.
one announcement, and I'm going to butcher this because I don't know anything about it. There is, and we'll push it out, all the details on the 1 Million Cups Tulsa website and the Facebook page, but we are asking that you go call your senator and ask them to vote on the innovation bill. Like I said, I haven't looked at the link, but it's going to be effective in eliminating some of the trolling issues that I'm just BSing my way through this. I don't know what it's all about. I know it's positive for our community, so check it out. It'll be on the Facebook page. It's trollingeffects.org/call. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to give all that detailed information. Our second company today is going to be 4D Sales. They have developed an app for the iPad, which is a tool for salespeople, real-world salespeople, to go into a pitch and sell more effectively and with a broader scope of tools than they currently do now. It's a digital technology that is more fluid than anything that has come up, and so Brian Carpenter and Mike Ishmael are here to talk about that. Brian's going to talk, and they'll have question and answers. So here's 4D Sales.
I've known this young man for over 25 years, and it's the first time I've ever heard of him refer to me as Brian. That is obviously my son, and Katie is my daughter-in-law. I couldn't be any more proud of the fact that they've kind of gathered this entrepreneurial spirit about them and what they've done with Foolish Things. It's been a dream of his since he was 15 years old to open what he calls Wazazaken, which is Dutch for foolish things. So I'm glad you passed it on. Don't start my mind, Dylan. On my first, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. We come at business with this idea that at some point in time we have to monetize our idea, whatever that may be. And that is going to require, at some point in time, a face-to-face type of interaction. In most cases, even Explainify rarely gets business that just comes to the web and it just shows up. Now, there are certain products that do that, but by and large, a salesperson is going to have to be involved. And that's what this tool is. It's a tool for salespeople to help them in the actual sales call itself. And tools like that don't exist until now. This particular product, and we'll show you the iPad version, is available on two tablet sets right now, the Touch and the iPad. But here's the issue. Sales calls simply have not changed in over 20 years. Salespeople spend somewhere around 7 hours a week searching for content that they want to use to present to the customers that they're going to talk to. 80% of all marketing materials are never used. I was the vice president of sales and marketing at Dollar Thrifty. We would spend millions of dollars on marketing material, and then we find it in the closet of our folks out in the field who keep complaining about, I don't have what's current. I don't have what I need. When Mike and I first began our careers at IBM, years ago, our trunk of our cars were filled with the countless components of what IBM sold. But there's not a timeliness that's available where a salesperson has that in their hands at the moment they need it. So you have a tremendous amount of waste. We know that from a call standpoint, it typically takes about 5 calls to close a deal. And the average cost of a sales call in a B2B environment is around $600. So that when you really look at the cost of closing a deal, it can be well over $3,000. So what we did with 4D is we took the position of we truly want to reinvent the sales call. In fact, we trademarked that particular statement. This is probably the single most important piece here. Study after study after study shows that 85% of all buying decisions is based on that direct interaction between the salesperson and the person who is going to buy. How many of you all in any aspect have chosen not to do business because you think that the person that is interacting with you is either untrustworthy, is whatever you want to call it. How many of you all are going into Mathis Brothers and have 500 people come on to you all at one point in time? Scary at times. That interaction between yourself and the salesperson will make all the difference in the world. And again, studies after studies says 85% of that buying decision is based on that interaction. So when that interaction is going to take place, there are three things that we want to make sure. One, that they have a great first impression. And people judge you. I'm rereading Blink right now, Malcolm Gladwell's book, and it talks about thin slicing and the quickness in which we make determination and how important first impressions are. So we want to put a tool in the hands of folks that allow for a great first impression. Salespeople have to be prepared. Mike and I have been on the revenue side of business since our career began. Salespeople are lazy. They take an easy path. Wish I could say different, but I'm one of them. If I have a tool that allows me to be prepared at all times, it increases the likelihood of success. Because success is an engagement. Success is a conversation. Success is a relationship that you're sharing with me and I can share with you. We know that people process information visually, and tablets have allowed now for that type of information to be put in front of you immediately. Studies say that 2/3 of all salespeople who use visual presentations are far more persuasive. Well, apparently you guys are not going to be able to hear this.
That's the moment of truth. That's what makes this application so powerful.
A level of professionalism into meetings that we did not have in the past.
It truly does differentiate our company.
When we first got 4D, we had a guy go to Woodward, and he sold another job that first time using 4D sales. You know, he had a tutorial on it of about 5 minutes.
We actually loaded up the file with some skeptics. And what's been amazing is those people that came back and made quotes like, you know, we know that the reason we got this business was because of 4D sales. We are convinced that we got the business.
I think our time is up. Yay! Forget how fast 6 minutes is. We were runners up last year in the startup cup, first loser as we call it, and we had a 2-minute pitch, and that is extraordinarily hard to do. And yet I had 3 times the amount of time this time and blew it. So, yes, sir.
Okay. So could you walk us through kind of high level, what are the main features of 4D sales?
You want a product demonstration?
Absolutely.
Great. That's fantastic. All right, let me show you how that works. All right, what we've got within 4D is we have 3 areas that you actually can brand. And with your permission, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up and you can see where I'm touching. You can see this little gray dot on the screen. The first area that you put your brand is up here in this top right-hand corner. I'm going to show you some of the implementations that some of our clients have. The second is in this area right here. And the third is in this set of categories that are here down the side. All right, so 3 different places to brand. Within each of these categories, and I'm going to touch the one that will say screenshots up there, which is the second one down. Touching that, you'll see it hopefully highlight around it. All right, and in this, all I've got is a series of screenshots. They're not functional, I just took a picture of how different companies have used 4D to brand who they are. And I'll show some local folks. This is Burnett Windows and Siding, and they sell all kinds of windows, roofing products, and they chose they wanted to have a picture of some of the products that they had. This is Brainerd Chemical, Ditch Witch. Let me just find some that I think you guys might like, well, this is one that a group of folks down in Athens, in Dallas, is using right now. But what you see, oh, this is one of our favorites. They are not one of our customers. But when you think about recruiting for young men or young women to join the armed services, a lot of that actually takes place with the parent in the home. And the way that this was structured was with, obviously, the Army up here at the top of, with the Army logo up in the top, with the picture in the background, and then the different categories down the side, just to talk about topics that were pertinent to them. So you guys get the idea kind of how I can brand. I won't show you any more of those. Now, within that, you have the capability from a product standpoint to add all kinds of different content. Sales sheets, PDFs, video, PowerPoint presentations, all of that stuff can be interleaved. And one of the things that we know is that salespeople hate technology typically and shy away from it. So you have to idiot-proof it in order for them to use it. You have to make it simple, intuitive, and extremely accessible. Now, within that, I'll just show this. Here are some examples of where customers have used this at trade shows, where they're walking around and show things that are happening. But again, think of this idea. Every single piece of content you have would be pertinent in a conversation with a customer. It's resident on your tablet. I don't have to have access to the internet. It's resident here simply in a way that you can get to. And if you then want to send it to somebody, you're just going to tap on the demo the email function. You tap on that and off it goes. So I'm carrying with me everything in a visual manner that represents me and my brand story. Long answer to a very simple question. Yes, sir.
Once you have it on your tablet or whatever format, you have to go through you to make any changes to that. Like if something, one of our features or benefits or pricing or something like that changes, do you have direct access to make the changes to that all the time, or do we have to go through your company?
You know what? You're going to do a demo for me right now.
I hate technology.
Okay? That's perfect. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to create a brand new category. And what I want you to do is I want you to hit this button, the setting button. All right, I want you to scroll to the top. Scroll this way. Keep scrolling. Got a gazillion things in there. And here's what I want you to do. See where it says add a category? I want you to touch that green button. The plus. Okay, it says new category. I want you to scroll back on that. And I want you to type in million cups.
This is seriously my first time to ever use my iPad. Do not care.
This guy's
I'm a paid actor.
Now I want you to touch this area right here. The little, okay? And we're going to put an icon in there. And when you go out to Dropbox, we're going to get a scanner. Just scroll up and pick something that's interesting for you. Hit standard icon or Dropbox. Go to 40 sales. Touch on 40 sales. Scroll up. Scroll the other way up. Okay, you find icons. It's down at the very top. Touch in. Pick something here. Pick the yellow X. Okay? That's just built there. You now have a new category that's built, and you put content in it the exact same way. Where I'm going to touch on that. Now, if you would hit done. All right, now you've got this brand new category that's up there, and you can put content in these. You can create them on the fly. My paid actor here has never used an iPad before, and he just built a category. Brilliant. Right? The idea is simplicity and then elegance, so that customers can see. Yes, sir.
Is it interactive with a program like QuickBooks, where I already have my inventory list, I already have my contact list? Can you import and export, or do you have to manually retype in all your?
Yeah, that particular piece you're going to have to manually. What customers do that they use that, they just use a link here, and they go immediately back to QuickBooks.
Or you can dump it to an Excel file, and then pull it into.
Yeah, we've had
Excel file.
With the Windows 8 implementation, you actually have some greater flexibility with it than you do on the iPad for reasons of you can do Excel, things like that. But that's how it works. Yes, sir, you got a question?
Yes. Is your primary customer companies implementing this across the whole sales force or individual salespeople?
Yes and yes. We have companies that are going all the way across the entire sales force. As a matter of fact, how many of you all are familiar with Kicker brands? How many of y'all have ever pulled up to a stoplight and heard thump, 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 thump? Those probably Kicker speakers. They're based in Stillwater. They just signed a deal with us to implement this across their entire sales force and their entire distribution channel. We have others that have selected a subset of salespeople that they use. So it's both. It's man.
Is there an industry that you've been targeting or certain industries that you've found 4D sales is most effective in?
Yeah, the question is industries that we have found that we have targeted, had the most success with, and it tends to be manufacturing and distribution. And then anything that you have a visual image that you want to show. One of the examples that you saw before I was smart enough to turn the sound up was actually a advertising company called Visual Image in Oklahoma City. They do all of their presentation here, but it also allows them to present their content very differently. Where we have not done well, nor do I ever think we will, are in things like financial services, where you don't have bank or insurance or those kinds of things. But where you have a product that there is a need to see, the visualizer has a lot of technical components to it, very, very successful with those industries. Yes, ma'am?
Go ahead. Okay. How do you price it?
It's expensive. And typically what happens here is we ask this question before we ever have a price discussion. What is the incremental value of one additional sale to a salesperson? What is that? And typically they'll go through some number, right? And I'll talk about, all right, one incremental sale. This helps you do one incremental sale. That's all I'm interested in. One a year. Yeah. What is the gross margin on it? Not in a percentage standpoint, in hard dollars. What's your gross margin on that? And typically gross margins on most things are 40-45%. And I say, we are a lot less than that. But the cost of this is about $1,000 an iPad. $1,000 a tablet.
Okay, so I for example, I have a line that relies on distribution.
Right.
Rely on distributors to distribute other people's products.
That's Kicker, right.
So is it the same price, basically, it's that $1,000 range that you provide all the distributors?
Yeah, what we've got, this gets a little bit, I'll show you this real quickly. We have two products. The other one is called the Agent Edition. And here's what that's for. If I am a manufacturer and I want to give this out to my field force and they're not my employees, then I don't want them to be able to change things on this. And that's what Agent Edition is. This is Kickers. Now, on this, on most of these, you can change anything you want. You can change the icons, the background, up in the corner. But not the Agent Edition. You can't change anything. So me as the manufacturer, I now control my content. And I don't have to worry about them making modifications to what I want to do.
What's the price?
About half. About $500.
Question in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin.
I'm following the microphone protocol here.
You know, if we can do the best.
So yeah, I was going to ask you about pricing a little bit, if it was like software as a service, monthly fees.
Yes, it actually will be in 2014. This is a little plug for I2E. We are doing some work with I2E, and if things play out the way that we all hope to, then we are pouring a tremendous amount of investment dollars in making this a software as a service.
Yeah.
We are already on the way. We finished the design, and we're about 2/3 of the way in what we call the brick and mortar. What we have to do is
Well, yeah, the other question I had, I guess, was it's slick. I love how simple it is and your ability to white label. What is, like, when you bring on a new customer, is there a lot of training, the implementation you have of getting it, how much of that time how much time does that take for you to get somebody on board?
Yeah, the actual setting up of it and getting it on board is quick. The bigger challenge is what I would call the process change that actually takes place with salespeople and how they go about doing things. One of the things that we've done, and this has really been fascinating, we give this away to nonprofits that we have a relationship with. Here in Oklahoma, we did it with Junior Achievement of Oklahoma. And in fact, we gave it to JA Worldwide. In fact, Mike had we got a really nice email from the president of JA South Carolina, Junior Achievement, and they used this for fundraising. The Little Lights, you guys familiar with that? They just did the implementation a week ago, and they showed it to their board of directors, and they got it because the White House has a great story. A lot of content, it's just tough to put it all together. And then I'm on the board of the Tulsa Boys Homes. We gave it to them. Those kinds of companies that are outreaching, that are not already predisposed to things, the usage and implementation is like that. In this particular video, the very last guy that was speaking, that was T.D. Williams. And Rick said, we gave this product to skeptics at first to see what they would do, and it made a difference. So the answer to your question is it has very little to do with the technology and more to do with the process in which they have historically. So, does that make sense? Yeah. So that's the more difficult thing to do. Yes, sir. Oh, man, I'm sorry.
So going back to the way you price your product, consider the art of value pricing, simply because the larger ticket items, companies that have big ticket sales and the gross profit margin on that value as a percentage or whatever, that's got to be greater than your per instance sales valuation now. And you consider that as an alternative way to price, value pricing instead?
Here is the one thing that we know about with pricing is that we're wrong. We just don't know which way. And here's the thing I'm going to really stress. I thought that one of the best questions that was asked, and I was going to ask it, I think the gentleman in the green shirt, when he asked the previous company, which is, what's the one thing that you wish you could look back on? I'm paraphrasing and tell yourself. And here's what I'm going to say to you guys from an entrepreneur standpoint. Don't be afraid to ask for compensation for what you do. I am stunned by the hesitation of people putting a hard value in what they do. And it's almost like we have this inferiority complex. Oh, I'm going to spend $10,000 for a video for us. Ask. And the reason is, if you can justify a benefit to a client, it's extraordinary how they will find money. Do not be hesitant in asking for value. So the answer is, we ask for as much as we can, and we stand firm. And this is the way that we get. Okay? So this value-based pricing for us, one of the reasons that we're going to the SaaS type model is that cap expense versus traditional expense, CapEx, capital type expense. When you buy a technology, software and hardware, that comes from a different budget, a capital budget. When you get into these large corporations, they're trying to get CapEx available, capital expense, versus this thing costs less than half of what a monthly cell phone bill is, which brings greater value. One creates a convenience, the other creates revenue.
Question in the back.
Yes.
You're good?
No,
Hey, you got the microphone, man. You better ask something.
I don't need the microphone. I'm just going to talk loudly and ask you. So, like, what's the difference between your product and something like a more established company like Salesforce and their like Salesforce One platform, and how do you protect yourself from, hey, I'm Salesforce, I have a huge market platform, I can charge a tenth of your cost and be able to run that. So, I just love your differentiation.
Salesforce and Lord help us, we all have a lot of experience with CRMs. Mike is doing this implementation with that right now. CRMs are great management tools. They do nothing in the sales call itself. Now, with the subset that you're talking about, never seen it used in presentation format at all. Does it?
Well, they have Salesforce iPad apps that have much more offerings than they have that just launched, I think, about a month ago. So I don't know their specific use cases, but what's to keep Salesforce, who has the network already, as a competitive product to say, well, we can just add content on there? And what's your differentiation between something like that or
because I don't know that product, I can't answer that. What I can tell you, and because we follow Salesforce, matter of fact, I can pull up their investor presentation that just gave. Salesforce has an 18% market share of the CRMs across the market. To date, we have not seen any type of product that is even close to being comparable to it. So I'll have to look at that to answer that question.
Well, and I guess the question goes more specifically to, if you're a different offering, do you allow integration into systems like that, or do you sustain as kind of a self? Because what I would like to know is metrics on using your product and your platform with my materials. Is there a way to do, even Google Analytics, if I leave that digitally with somebody to see what they're touching on, what they're clicking on? I mean, are there other things you can do that can differentiate it and continue to stay ahead of the curve?
This is going to sound really, really funny from an analytics standpoint. What we become more interested in is, did it create hard sales? Not whether or not it was used, and I went to this slide or that slide. It's a very, that mindset, again, you have to understand my background. We built Thrifty.com and Dollar.com, which were transactional. We wanted to know where people move on a page. What I'm interested in is, because the salesperson uses this as a bit of an intermediary, I want to know how many other incremental sales were on it. Now, what they used and what was effective, those types of analytics are very important, and that's part of the build that we've got.
So how do you track that?
I don't track what they sell.
No, I mean, from your standpoint.
That is not in it right now. The thing that Brian is talking about in terms of going over SaaS, there's a lot of other things wrapped around that, and one of them is analytics.
I mean, I'm just wondering, how do you tie the sale to your product? Do you get those analytics coming to you?
No, I mean, our analytics right now is a very binary thing. Did that help you sell? Yes, no. And they report that back into their company.
And today we get it from our customers. They just come in and say, hey, we sold this and we couldn't have done without it. I mean, T.D. Williamson, they said that on the tail end of it. Because they're out in the oil field. They don't have a way to show this. Well, I won't go into all the reasons why it happened to them. But it's all anecdotal right now.
Yes, sir. Sir. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't just show me. Sorry, that's on me. Sir.
Just go back to a previous question regarding how content is updated, because is there a way for the ID on the agent app for whoever the ownership of the main system to push out the content, and just a normal app, because on the law sales code wants to every day update their content, you just reference that, just in what not doing as you need to. I'm just curious how new information can be pushed to the application.
Okay, there's two answers to that. Today and then early next year.
Yeah, it's full right now. So you go out and you can download what we call an archive, which somebody's created for you and will completely refresh everything. Or you can download a piece here and there, which is as quick as just going into tapping add, selecting Dropbox, and it loads it up. In the future, there's part of this whole enterprise. There's pushing.
So with the agency version of this, it'll tell you something.
Yes, and then you go out and you just do that download. When we're in the enterprise thing, which I talked about, then it's just push. You still have to accept that push for privacy reasons.
For
we
a
not?
couple of No, after you finish, we just need to ask before we get too close to the end, what can the community do for 40 sales?
So what can the community do for you guys?
Are you ready for that question?
No, I'm actually just on an earlier point, I wanted to add one quick thing before we wrap up. Just a comment. I mean, I really like the idea. I think you have an awesome holistic sales. It's something to go in there and not think about do something that you guys have. It's a great concept. And to add that analytics, you maybe listening today, as you do software as a service, when you go towards that platform, be really practical to have information inside the things like Salesforce on your application, marketplace, and things like that. So just for your future vision, it's something.
Yeah, here's where we get a little bit, how would I say, hesitant. Things that you have described, we know very well. And we share all that we're gonna be doing, the things that are on the drawing board, or do we just act a little boy? We're gonna choose to act a little. And as it gets closer, don't think that we don't show this to clients and have folks come in and take a look and say, okay, is this what you want to do, what you want to have? And you know who are the loudest on that? Existing customers. Because they're out, they're using it. They say, oh man, I'd like for it to do this and this. So thank you for that input. All right, one final question.
I'm going to ask a question I personally know the answer to, but I think it's interesting. It might be interesting to other people in the crowd. If I go and look for 40 sales in the App Store, it won't be there. So how can you talk
How
about?
would you know that?
Well, because I know people. Could you talk about, because I think this is really interesting to people. How do you distribute it without it being visible in the App Store?
Matt's right, we have a problem with the App Store. Anybody that has a high-value application has a problem with the App Store. When you go buy an application for your iPhone, how much do you expect it to cost? 99 cents. How much do you expect it to cost on your iPad? $2.99, $4.99, maybe $9.99? You're not going to pay $1,000 because there's a perception there. And so we do it through a portion of the App Store called the B2B portal. Customers have to go in, as a company has to sign up for that portal. Costs them nothing, takes them 5 minutes. And once they do that, we make 40 sales visible to them. And we handle contractual deals outside of that as a custom app. And then they essentially buy redemption codes.
All right, we got it.
That's the reason it's not in the app store.
2 minutes. What can the community do for you guys?
When you're a company like ours, we're no different than most of you guys. Our company is in its infancy. It's awareness and is one. Two, if you have people that you think, man, I can benefit from this, I think you said a customer, let us know, and we'll do a revenue share with you.
Or we'll donate.
On
your behalf.
Yeah, we've had clients that said, no, I don't want any money back, but you donate to the White House. Yes, we will. Happy. So the awareness is the first thing that we ask. The second is just feedback. One of the things when you get to the old farts our age, you start to you tend to be a little bit blind, the blinders on certain things. And one of the greatest things is to question, well, why don't you do that? Why don't you? And having that type of feedback is extraordinarily liberating in helping us make an even better product. So those would be the two types of things. Here's what I will commit to you. Because we've had a little bit more experience, had failures and had some successes, one of the things that we want to do is what can we do to help you? And if that ever plays a role, contact us. The Tulsa community actually has a pretty robust support network. It's so long as this. So thank you all very much.
Thank you guys for real quick before we dismiss, the Kaufman Foundation has just released this really cool curriculum that teaches you how to pitch. It's like 3 different video series. It's really cool. And when you fill out the form on our site, 1millioncups.com/Tulsa, click the request to present form, you get to walk through these videos, and it actually will teach you sort of some cool little tips and tricks. So for those of you that are on the fence about do you want to get in front of a crowd, a strange crowd that's hyped up on coffee, maybe that's a good plug. So look forward to seeing you guys next week. We have 2 more sessions before the holidays. So invite your friends. We look forward to seeing you next week.